Alright, continue with Association of American Railroad Standard Recommendation Practices M101 Wheels and Axis, Appendix A. Interpretation of defects considering injurious in axles. The conditions have been difficult for the inspector to evaluate the light lines of the visibility with the normal unaided with the eye, variously described in the actual seams, hairline stingers, shadow seams, ghost lines, etc. They appear after the axle has been finished and machined, burnished, or ground. It is therefore advisable to describe the conditions in more detail. 2. The interpretation of injurious defects enumerated below with the concern of the precluding and unforeseen objectable conditions not specifically listed with the right of the purchaser receive the reject the temporary such axles make a final statement on the basis of the further negotiation between the representative of the manufacturer and the purchaser who are especially qualified to decide such a question. 3. Transverse circumstance seeks seems cracks, lapse, and intermediate depth of the axle surface other than discolorization listed in paragraph 4.0, regardless of the location, are considered injurious and are caused rejection without further machining. Ghost line, shadow marks, other similar discoloration visible normal unaided eye through non-actual separation of metal are not considered injurious regardless of the location. Any longitudinal discontinuity various termed hairline, stringer, or fine seam that is machining with the fillets is considered injurious and cause rejection without further condition. 6.0 Journals and dust guards. Roller bearing and axles. Fine longitudinal discontinuity finish with the burnishing ground surface of various the term hairline stringers fine seams are now not considered injurious if they meet the following conditions. Must not exceed the into fillets. Must not be over 3¼ inch individually in the journal. 1/2 long individual with the dust guards sees total length of such imperfections over 1/4 inch. How long must not exceed 2 inches in any one end of the axle, wheels, and in gear seats. Freight cars, axles, roller bearings. Longitudinal seams of wheel seats with the freight car axles not considered injurious where they meet the following conditions. Must not extend into the dust guard or body fillets. Must not be over 2 inches individually long individually. Total length of such imperfections 1/4 inch, 2 inch long. Must not exceed 4 inches at any one of the end of the axle. 7.2 All other axles. Longitudinal discontinuity finish machine surface of the wheel with the gear seats, various termed hairline stringers and the fine seams, tight seams, surface imperfections, etc. not considered injurious if they meet the following conditions. Must not exceed 1½ inch of either of the end of the wheel of the gear seat. Must not be over the 1/2 inch long individually. Total length of such imperfection 1/4 inch to 1½ inch long. Must not exceed 3 inches in any one end of the axle. 8 Areas between wheels and gear seats and bodies. Machine bodies. Longitudinal discontinuity with the finish of the various termed hairline stingers and fine seams are not considered injurious if they meet the following conditions. Must not exceed into the fillets adjacent to the wheel seat and gear seat. Must not be over the 1/2 inch individual long. Total length of such imperfection 1/4 inch to 1/2 long. Must not exceed 1½ inch in any of the 12 inches of the body of the length. Axles containing longitudinal discontinuity body with excess of the described in the paragraphs 8.1.2 and 8.1.3 above the may be reconditioned grinding with the machine provided with the diameter is not reduced below the specified limit. Appendix B, vacant. Appendix C, qualification and manufacture plant as producer for the axle for the Association of American Railroad Interchange Services. Application approval that are to be submitted with the Association of American Railroads. Application to be provided with electronic file format must provide with the general description facility equipment to be used for the production of axles and event the desired delivered mounted wheels. Information indicating the equipment is available to comply with wheel mounting with the requirements of the Association of American Railroad Manuals Rail Standard of the Recommended Practices. Section G, Part 2, Wheel and Axle Manual should be included. As to set a review of the data submitted with the application committee, will the authorized application contact the Association of American Railroad information concerning the production test? This will consist of the application furnishing 3 axles, application expense for the testing of the Association of American Railroads. All costs are to be paid by the application upon the notification of the testing charge. Subsequent to satisfactory completion of the test and approval of the committee with the testing result of the Association of American Railroad will inspect the proper equipment of the plant when the axles are produced for the PERS S649. If mounted with wheels or provided with the AAR, inspection will be arranged with the meat wheel shop. The inspection will require that all the costs paid by the applicant upon granting the Association of American Railroad approval. The company marks with the stamp of the axle end of the face of the sign. All plans designing and maintaining status of the Association of American Railroad approved the manufacturer axle and AAR interchange must be inspected as described in S64.9. The cost of the inspection to be borne with the axle produced in the event of the facility fails in test to satisfy inspection and testing expense obligation. The Association of American Railroad, in conjunction with the committee, reverses the right to withhold the withdrawal of approval In the event of the facility ceases its production for less than a year and has not received the scheduled annual inspection, inspection of the facility is required prior to the delivery of any item of the interchange service. In the event of the plant cease production axles of the Association of American Railroad interchange for more than 60 days less than 1 year, the Association of American Railroads must be notified no later than 2 weeks prior to reopening. 6.0, and in the event of the plant does not receive the annual inspection for the production axle with the AAR interchange service for more than 1 year, requalification will require the prior to delivery of an item of the Association of American Railroad interchange. In addition, with the forging of the axle, manufacturers must meet the requirements of the AAR Manual Standard Recommended Practice Section J, Specification 1003, Specification Quality Insurance. All plans desiring maintaining staff at the Association of American Railroads approved with the manufacturer for the axle for the AAR interchange must also have their steel supplier for the heating of the train. Each rating of subcontractors inspected with the use of their own facilities. Inspection will be made with the conjunction facility inspection. Costs will be borne with the application. Axle manufacturing use of native language of the English is responsible for the accurate communication applicable to the customer requirements within the plant. Plant practice and final production must conform to the English language variation and applicable standard specification. 9.2 critical record that defined in standard internal procedure forms necessary to demonstrate the compliance with specification M101 with the Msrp section J specification M1003. Critical records must be kept up with date and production and maintained in English. Alright, figure C1 standard round tension test specimen within 2-inch gauge length. Alright, note the gauge length, parallel section, and fillets shall be shown with a end, but the ends may be the shape of the fitter of the holder testing machine in such a way that loads shall be an axle. Minimum radius recommended 1/8 of an inch, max minimum 2 1/4 inch, 2.2 inches plus or minus 5/1000 of an inch gauge length with an elongation after fracture, 1/2 inch plus or minus 1/1000 of an inch. Alright, AAR standard axle markings. Roller bearing freight cars, note 275, note 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. On the AAR standard axle markings, roller bearing passenger cars stamped here, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7. Alright, number 1, laboratory accepted the stamp of the form of the purchase for the signifying acceptance of axles marked with the shipment of the producer to the serial. Number 3, the manufacturer's name of the brand for the month of the year and grade of the axle. F, double normalized in temperature. G, quenched and tempered. H, normalized, quenched and tempered. U, untreated. Health and identification number. 6, 7, radial ultrasonic testing. General notes for the latest mechanical division circular letter listing AAR approved axle manufacturer for the current approval status. All markers will be legibly stamped with the characteristics not less than 1/4 inch high. All marks on freight car roller bearings axles must be located adjacent to the peripheral with the center holding. Manufacturers must finish one end of the axle for stamping. The above the minimum marking requirements for the location individual items vary for the layer. Still illustrated. Figure C2 shows the AAR standard marking requirements of page 1 of 2 and page 2 20.5. Alright, your manufacturer's name and brands, and their abbreviations. Alright, C3 is axle, freight car, roller bearing, raised wheel, seat, page 1 and 2, standard 1963, revised 1984, 1998, effective March 1st, 1985, and paragraph 17.5 through paragraph 25.2. Alright, starting from the circular side, we're going to go where it shows 120 degrees ratio from the T unit, 2 unit count of 20, 2 TB tap, 3-hole countersink, large hole bolt diameter, T, remove sharper corners. Check the location of the gauge showing the manual standard recommendation practice for the G2 RP634 figure 8. Alright, this shows the journal and the axle, the journal axle, machine chamfer 250 max. Note V shows this is V right here shows the dimension of the roll thread of the depth of the drilled hole equal to the V dimension 7/8 of maximum. G is the maximum permissible variation journal diameter placing and not exceeding 1,000 inches. There must shall be no abrupt changes of the steps over length. W shows the enlarged section showing optional radius using counter grid 1/16 of an inch to 1/8 of an inch radius maximus. C and D, and then M again. M is from the M, and then E, overall length, the type of the journal, axle machined. Alright, note 1, dimension for tolerance of 15 thousandths to minus 15 thousandths. Maximum allowable runout between G and H is 16 thousandths total inch diameter. Dial indicator maximum allowable runout between G and I is 8 thousandths of an inch. Indicator 47 by 12 and journals end chamfer is 4 degrees 15 feet 5 eighth of an inch by plus or minus 1/8 of an inch. Required preset press fit roller bearing backing rigging with a H for diameter tolerance. Finish at 125 minimum maximum when tolerated. The W dimensions cannot exceed the tolerance limits with the gauge shown in Manual Standard Recommendation Practice Section G2, the Recommended Practice 634, Figure 527. Running on a journal surface of G when rotated on the centers must not exceed 15,000. The total dial indicator dimension of the B and N are considered engineering data and truck design, does not necessarily axle manufacturing tolerance. Journal finishes must not exceed 63 inches minimum, or 63 minimum ground turned only if the roll turn finish must not exceed 125 minimum. The roll finish must not exceed 16 minimum. Alright, your C3 axle freight car roller bearing raised wheel seat. You have your classification of the axles D, E, F, G, X, K, L, and M. Side with the journal, the D is 5 1/2 inch by 10 inch. E is 6 by 11. F is 6 1/2 by 12. G is 7 1/2 by 12. K is 6 1/2 by 9. L is 6 1/2 by 6 by 8. M is 7 by 9. And there are dimensions from B, C, D, E, G, and H. Are your freight car axles D, E, G, and F, and L, and M, and then D, and E, and F for Amtrak passenger car railways. Shows the different A, B, C, D, and E, and which should be A is over here on the radial of the 120 degrees bolt holes. Our grind assembly is provided with approximately 2,000 inch press and fit and powder, pin holder. 3 pin required. 3 holes of 5,000 half-inch diameter pressing fitting pins, hose, and equally spaced at 1,000 inch position and direction. 1/8 of an inch radius or 1/8 of an inch 45 chamfer. Diameter B pinhole. Diameter 1,000 inch or C. Radius maximum G 1 1/2 inch diameter and directions. Axle center engage and axle center lathe center adapted 1944, revised 1966, 1979. Paragraph 17.2. Alright, your lathe center is 6 degrees, 1/8 of an inch thickness hardness, and then it goes to 175, 1.5, 1.37, 11 by 12, 7, 8, 9, and 10, 1 1/4 inch, 1.125 by 60 degrees. Your axle sizes are 3/4 inch by 7 inch. For B is 4 1/4 inch by 8 inch. C is 5 1/2 by 9 inch. D is 5 1/2 by 10 inches. You have a 60 inch, 1 1/4, 1/8 of an inch. These show the different layers of dimensions. And that concludes the axle carbon steel heated treated specification M101 AR manual standard recommendation practice axles.